Jason didn't like visitors. He lived alone in a small house at the edge of town, far from the noise, far from the people. That morning, when he opened his door to get firewood, he saw something strange lying on the porch. It looked like a big dog, but not just any dog. Its fur was thick, smooth, almost glowing in the morning light. Its body shape was all wrong, too curvy, too human. The creature had long arms, not paws, and it was wearing a torn silver dress, shiny like alien armor. Jason froze. The creature didn't move. Its eyes were shut tight. Its breathing was fast but shallow, like it had been running for a long time. And most shocking of all, there were burn marks on her back. He could tell now. Her, not it. This wasn't a dog. This wasn't even human. Jason stepped back into the house, locked the door, and watched through the curtain. His heart pounded. What was this thing? Was it dangerous? A military experiment? A wild animal? Or something from the sky? After 10 minutes, it still didn't move. It wasn't dead, but it wasn't waking up either. Jason made a quick decision. He grabbed an old blanket and stepped outside again. Carefully, slowly, he placed the blanket over the girl. Her skin where there wasn't fur was warm, soft, and real. When he touched her shoulder, her eyes opened, golden, sharp, watching. She didn't growl. She didn't attack. Instead, she made a soft, low sound, almost like a dog whimpering. Then she slowly licked his hand. Jason yanked his arm back in surprise. What the hell? The alien girl crawled forward a little, then sat like a trained pet. Her glowing eyes stayed on his face. Jason felt like she was reading him, understanding him, like a wild thing pretending to be tamed. He opened the door and backed inside. To his shock, she followed, like a dog. She sniffed the corners of the room, moved slowly, carefully, and sat again beside the fireplace. Jason stood there frozen. Was she acting? Hiding something? Or was this really how she behaved? I don't own a dog, he said out loud. The girl tilted her head, like she was trying to understand the words. Are you lost? Jason asked, knowing it was pointless. She moved closer, crawled across the wooden floor on all fours, and pressed her head gently against his knee. She looked up with soft eyes, then wagged her tail. Jason sat down slowly. What are you? He whispered. The girl blinked. Then, slowly, she reached up with one hand and tapped his chest. Her fingers were long, strong, but gentle. She touched his hoodie, then pointed at herself, then back at him. Again and again, Jason shook his head. You think you belong to me? She nodded. Something wasn't right. She didn't talk. She didn't act wild. But she was clearly intelligent. Maybe even more than he thought. And she had chosen him. But why? He checked her wounds. The burns looked fresh, laser burns. That wasn't natural. Not from Earth. Jason stood and walked to the window. Outside, the forest was quiet. But he saw something strange, dark shadows moving at the tree line. Machines, drones, and they were looking for something. His blood turned cold. They weren't searching for him. They were searching for her. He turned back. The girl was now curled up on the rug, her ears low, watching him with quiet eyes. She looked tired. She looked scared. And she had run to him. Jason walked over and locked every door and window. He shut the blinds. Then he crouched down in front of her. I don't know what you are, but you need help. And I don't turn away someone who needs help. The alien girl closed her eyes and gently leaned against his chest. Her body was warm, and she smelled like wind and leaves and something faintly sweet. Jason held her for a long moment. Then, without thinking, he whispered, You're safe now. But outside, the shadows moved closer. And Jason had no idea what kind of danger had just walked into his life. Jason didn't sleep that night. He sat in his old chair, staring at the strange girl sleeping on his rug. Her body moved with each slow breath. Her tail curled around her side. Her sharp ears twitched now and then, like she was still listening even while asleep. Jason couldn't forget those drones in the woods. Black, flying machines, scanning, searching. They had no lights, no sound, but Jason had seen them. And he knew they were not from Earth. The girl was hiding from them. And now she was in his home. Jason stood up quietly and went to the kitchen. He poured water into a bowl and placed it near her. Then he opened a can of soup and warmed it on the feather stove. The smell filled the air. The girl's nose twitched. She opened one eye and sat up slowly, still on all fours. Jason held the bowl of soup and crouched in front of her. "You hungry?" She didn't answer, of course, but her golden eyes watched the steam rise. He placed the bowl down on the floor. To his surprise, she didn't eat like a dog. She picked it up with both hands and drank carefully, like someone who once knew manners but had forgotten them. After eating, she licked her fingers and gave Jason a soft, thankful look. Then she stood on 2 feet. Jason stepped back. She was taller than he expected. Her body was lean, powerful, like a wild hunter. But she moved with grace. And even though she was part beast, she looked gentle. She pointed at the window, then made a sweeping motion like wings. "You're saying they flew?" Jason guessed. She nodded. Then she pointed to her burns. "They hurt you?" Another nod. Jason felt anger rise inside him. Whoever they were, they had chased her, hurt her. And now she was running, pretending to be a pet just to survive. He looked down at her paws. No, her hands. She wasn't just pretending. She had done this before. "Long have you been hiding?" He whispered. She looked away. Jason stepped closer. "You're not just any alien, are you?" The girl's eyes slowly returned to his. She hesitated. Then she reached up and touched her throat. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. "You can't speak?" Jason asked gently. She shook her head. Jason nodded. "Okay, we'll find another way." She pointed at the wall. There was an old calendar hanging there. Jason watched as she used her claw to scratch something on it. A shape. A symbol. A crescent moon. Jason didn't understand. "What does that mean?" She tapped the moon, then pointed at herself. "You are connected to the moon?" She tapped again, then slowly placed one hand on her stomach. Jason froze. "You're changing?" The girl nodded. Jason realized something deeper was happening. She wasn't just running. She was hiding from something coming inside her. Something maybe even she couldn't control. Suddenly, she stiffened. Her ears twitched. She dropped low to the floor and growled softly. Jason followed her gaze. A red light moved outside the window. Small, silent. A drone. Jason whispered, "Stay low." He crept across the room, careful not to make a sound. He pulled the curtain aside, just enough to peek. The drone was floating just above the fence, scanning the yard with a thin red beam. Jason's heart pounded. The girl moved behind him. Her claws flexed. She was ready to fight. "No," Jason whispered. "Don't let them know you're here." But it was too late. The drone's red light stopped right on the front door. Jason grabbed the old hunting rifle from behind the cabinet. "I didn't ask for this," he muttered, "but I'm not letting them take you." The drone moved closer. Jason lifted the gun and fired. The shot broke the silence. The drone exploded into pieces. Smoke filled the yard. Jason locked the door and turned to the girl. She looked up at him, eyes wide with shock. But then she smiled. "Just a little," Jason exhaled. "Guess now they know where we are." The alien girl stepped closer. She gently pressed her forehead against his chest. A quiet sign of trust. Jason placed a hand on her back. He didn't understand what was going on yet. But one thing was clear now. She wasn't pretending anymore. She had chosen him. And whatever she was, whoever she was, Jason knew he was already part of it. The next morning, everything was quiet. Too quiet. Jason didn't sleep much. He kept checking the windows, watching the sky. After he shot the drone, nothing else came. No sound, no machines. But he knew that wasn't the end. That drone had told. Someone where they were, he stood in the kitchen, staring at his old coffee pot, hands shaking just a little. Behind him, the alien girl sat near the couch, tail resting over her lap. She wore one of his old flannel shirts now, big and soft. It looked strange on her fur-covered body, but it made her look almost normal. Jason turned and asked, "Do they know who I am now? Will they come for me too?" The girl didn't answer. She didn't have to. She just looked at him with sad eyes. Jason poured 2 cups of water, one for him, one for her. She took it gently, then sat beside him. Her claws clicked on the wood floor. She moved carefully, quietly, always watching. He noticed something else now, how she never turned her back to the windows. Like she had learned that danger could come from anywhere. Like she had lived this way for a long time. Jason pulled out an old map and unfolded it on the table. "I need to get you somewhere safe," he said. "But I don't even know where you came from." The girl leaned closer. She looked at the map for a moment, then pointed to a blank area, deep forest. "Far north, no roads, no towns. You came from there?" Jason asked. She nodded. "Are others like you?" She hesitated. Then she scratched something into the wood table. 3 marks. 3 lines. 3 more? Jason asked. She nodded again, slower this time. Jason sighed. "Okay, so you weren't alone." She looked away. Jason realized maybe she was the last one now. He sat back, thinking. If they sent drones, they might send more. Maybe even people, soldiers. The girl's ears twitched. Her claws tightened around the cup. Jason lowered his voice. "We can't stay here. Not anymore." He started packing. Food, water, clothes. He pulled out an old camping bag, stuffed it full. The girl watched everything he did, then stood up and helped. She moved fast, smart, like someone who had trained for survival. Jason smiled. "You're not just pretending to be a dog. You're a soldier too." She gave him a small smirk, just a hint of pride. They left before the sun reached the roof. Jason drove his old truck through the back roads, deep into the woods. No signs, no GPS, just memory and the sound of tires on dirt. The girl sat beside him in the passenger seat. Her tail flicked now and then. Her ears stayed up, always listening. At one point, Jason looked over and said, "You don't have a name, do you?" She tilted her head. He thought for a moment. "How about Luna?" The girl blinked slowly. "Luna," Jason said again. "It means moon." She smiled. That was the first time he saw her smile with real warmth. They drove for hours deeper into the wild. The trees grew thick. The light dimmed. Jason found an old hunting cabin, abandoned, dusty but strong. He unlocked it with a key he hadn't used in 5 years. Inside, it smelled like dry wood and time. But it was safe. No signals. No machines. They set up camp. Jason lit the fireplace. Luna curled up near it, like a big fur-covered cat. Her body moved with quiet power. She was relaxed but ready to spring if needed. Jason sat on a crate and watched. The fire. Then he heard it. Not outside. From her, a low, soft sound. Singing. No words. Just a quiet hum, something old, something not human. Her voice was deep, beautiful, sad. Jason didn't speak. He just listened. When she finished, Luna looked up and saw him staring. She gave a shy look, like she hadn't meant for him to hear. Jason whispered, "That was beautiful." She smiled and tapped her chest. Jason understood. That song was from her world. Her people, and maybe the last one she remembered. Suddenly, there was a sound outside. Crack. A branch. Jason stood up fast. Luna growled low. Soft but sharp. Jason moved to the window and looked through the gap. Shapes. Three of them. Not animals. Men. Black suits. Armed. Coming straight for the cabin. Jason grabbed the rifle. Luna stood up beside him, teeth bared. The peaceful night was over. They were not alone anymore. Jason held his breath. The shapes outside the cabin didn't stop. They moved closer, silent, careful, like trained hunters. Three men, wearing black armor, eyes hidden behind dark visors. Their weapons looked advanced, long, slim, glowing slightly. Luna pressed her back against the wooden wall. Her ears were low. Her tail stayed still. Her claws clicked softly as she moved beside Jason. He whispered, "They found us." She nodded. Jason looked at her and said, "Can you fight?" Luna didn't answer with words. She crouched low, ready to pounce. Jason loaded his rifle. It wasn't much, but it was all he had. "Okay, if we're doing this, we don't wait." The first soldier stepped onto the porch. Jason raised the rifle and fired. The shot slammed into the doorframe, just missing the target, but it was enough. The men scattered. One ducked for cover. The second aimed his weapon at the cabin. Jason pulled Luna down just before the wall behind them exploded in smoke and wood. "They're not here to talk," he muttered. Luna crawled to the back window and looked out. She pointed, then held up two fingers, then one. Two soldiers in front, one circling around back. Jason nodded. "I'll take the back, you take the front." Luna didn't hesitate. She moved like a shadow. Jason had seen soldiers move before on TV in training videos, but not like this. She was fast, silent, deadly. Jason crept to the back door. He waited. Listened. Footsteps. He threw the door open and slammed the butt of the rifle into the soldier's chest. The man dropped, surprised but not out. He swung his weapon up. Jason kicked it away and tackled him. They struggled, rolling in the dirt. The soldier was stronger, but Jason was angry. And that gave him power. He grabbed a rock, hit the man once, twice. The soldier stopped moving. Jason stood up, panting. Then he heard it growling. He ran to the front. Luna had already taken down one man. Her claws were bloody. Her dress was torn at the shoulder. But she stood tall, fierce, her golden eyes glowing. In the dark, the last soldier aimed his weapon at her. Jason lifted his rifle and fired. The man fell. Silence returned to the woods. Smoke drifted in the cold air. Luna turned to Jason. Her face was calm, but her chest rose and fell with deep breaths. She walked toward him slowly. Then she stopped and looked down at her arm. Burned. Jason ran to her. "You're hurt." She growled softly, not at him, but at the pain. He guided her back inside. The cabin was a mess, walls cracked, windows broken. But it had held. Jason sat her down and got the first aid kit. She didn't flinch as he cleaned the burn. Her eyes stayed on his face, even when the pain hit. "You were amazing out there," Jason said softly. She looked at him, then placed her clawed hand gently on his chest. Jason froze. It wasn't just thanks. It was something deeper. She leaned in, resting her forehead against his again, like before. But this time, it felt different. Not like a dog, not like a soldier, like someone who didn't want to lose what she had found. Jason whispered, "You don't have to keep pretending. I know you're not a pet. You're not even just a survivor." She blinked slowly. "You're someone who needs a home." Luna closed her eyes. For a moment, there was peace again. Jason stayed beside her until her breathing slowed. But then something beeped. A small device in the fallen soldier's suit still, blinking. Jason picked it up. A tracker. It was sending a signal. His hands shook. They know exactly where we are. Luna opened her eyes. She had heard 2. Jason stood. They'll come in greater numbers next time. Luna rose beside him. Even wounded, she looked strong. Jason said, "We can't stay here." She nodded. Jason looked around at the broken cabin. The blood on the floor. The still burning fireplace. He grabbed the map again. There was one more place they could go. Farther, deeper, into the place even humans didn't go anymore. The mountains. He packed fast. Luna helped. Before leaving, she did something strange. She scratched a mark into the cabin wall, 3 moons in a triangle. Jason asked, "What does it mean?" She tapped her heart. Then his. Jason understood. It was her way of saying, this place was important. Their first fight, their first choice, and maybe their last time being hunted. Outside, the cold wind blew hard, but the 2 of them didn't stop walking. Together they vanished into the forest. The cold hit hard in the mountains. Jason wrapped his jacket tighter. The wind cut through the trees like a knife. Snow had started falling, light but steady. Every step crunched beneath their boots. Beside him, Luna moved quietly. She didn't complain. Her fur helped keep her warm, but Jason could see her tail dragging low. She was tired. Her arm was still healing. The burn had gotten worse, and Jason didn't have enough medicine. They had been walking for 2 days, sleeping in caves, drinking melted snow, and always listening for drones, for boots, for voices. Jason stopped near a large rock and held out his hand. "Rest," he said softly. Luna hesitated. Then she nodded and sat down. Her legs folded under her like a wolf, but her eyes watched him like a person. She trusted him now. And Jason had grown used to her being there. He sat beside her. The forest around them was quiet. No machines. No movement. Jason looked up. "We're close." Luna raised an eyebrow. He pointed. "There's a place my grandfather used to talk about. An old base, buried deep in the mountains. No one uses it anymore." Luna tilted her head. Jason smiled faintly. "It was a human place, before the war, hidden, off the grid. If it's still there, we might survive." Luna gently touched his shoulder. Her hand was cold. Jason looked at her. "You okay?" She opened her mouth, and for the first time, a sound came out. Not a growl, not a hum, a word. "Jas." "On." Jason froze. She said his name. It was rough. Her voice was strange, but it was clear. He stared at her, wide-eyed. "You remembered." Luna nodded. She pointed at herself, then made a small paw motion, then shook her head. "No dog." Jason said quietly. She smiled. Jason almost laughed. "Took you long enough to admit it." She leaned her head against his shoulder. And for the first time since this whole thing started, Jason felt not alone, but peace didn't last long. A sound echoed through the trees. A deep, low hum. Jason's heart sank. He stood quickly and looked toward the sky. A large shadow passed over the trees. Not a drone. A full ship. Quiet, fast. He grabbed Luna's arm. "Run." They ran through the snow, between trees, across frozen streams. The hum grew louder behind them. Then Jason saw it. A small steel hatch hidden behind a wall of stone, covered in ice and moss. Almost forgotten. He rushed to it and pulled hard. Nothing. "Help me," he yelled. Luna joined him. Her claws dug under the frozen edge. Together, they ripped the hatch open. Darkness inside. A stairway down. Jason didn't think. He grabbed Luna's hand and pulled her into the hole. He slammed the hatch shut above them, just as a beam of red light swept across the area. Inside, it was pitch black. Silent. Then Luna's eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Jason flicked on his flashlight. The beam showed a metal tunnel, rusty, old but strong. They moved slowly, down, Finally, they reached a large room round with computer panels and broken chairs. This was it. The base. Jason dropped his bag. We made it. Luna collapsed beside him. Her breath was fast. Her body shook from cold and pain. Jason knelt beside her. Hey, stay awake. She blinked slowly. Jason touched her forehead. Too hot. Her burn was worse. Maybe infected. He opened the bag, searching for anything: bandages, pills, herbs. Nothing was enough. Luna whispered something. Jason leaned close. Don't leave. His chest tightened. I'm not going anywhere, he said. You hear me? She closed her eyes. Jason sat there, holding her hand, not knowing what to do. Then, a faint sound. Electric. He looked up. One of the old panels still had power. Faint, blinking light. Jason stood and rushed over. He hit buttons, flipped switches. The screen blinked to life. A voice came through the speaker, broken and static. Old command base, signal detected, emergency code. Jason grabbed the mic. This is Jason Moore, civilian. I have an injured life form. We need medical help. We're being hunted. Please someone respond. Silence. Then, we copy. Hold position. Help coming. Jason dropped the mic. He turned back to Luna. She was still breathing. He smiled. We're not done yet. Luna didn't wake up for hours. Jason stayed beside her, checking her burn, wiping her forehead, whispering words she couldn't hear. The old base was cold and quiet. Only one panel still blinked. The rest of the place was dark metal, rusted corners, and dust from a forgotten time. But it was shelter, and someone had heard him. He hoped. He looked down at her face. She looked peaceful now. Her breathing was soft, slow. The infection had spread, but her body was still fighting. He could see it. She was strong, stronger than any human he knew. Jason held her hand tightly. Then, footsteps. Metal boots on stairs. He stood up fast and aimed his rifle at the door. A voice called out, calm and steady. Hold your fire. We're friendly. Jason didn't lower his weapon. Then the door opened. 3 people entered, humans. Soldiers, but not the black-suited hunters. Their suits were gray with blue markings. United Earth Alliance. One of them stepped forward. A woman. Her eyes scanned Jason, then moved to Luna. She's one of them, she said. Jason nodded. She's injured. The woman looked at the others. Med kit, now. The second soldier knelt beside Luna, opened a case, and began working. The third kept his weapon low, watching Jason carefully. The woman asked, You're Jason Moore? Yes. She checked a small device. We picked up your signal. You've been off-grid for a while. We've also been tracking those black armored teams. They're not human. Jason blinked. Not human? She nodded. Cloned enforcers, bio-soldiers. Created by a rogue alien group. They've been hunting escapees. Jason looked down at Luna. She was running from them. Yes, the woman said. We've been trying to find the survivors. Most didn't make it. Jason's voice cracked. Is she the last? The woman was silent. Then Luna stirred. Jason dropped to her side. Her eyes opened. She saw him first. Then the soldiers. Her body tensed. It's okay, Jason whispered. They're not like the others. They're here to help. The woman soldier stepped closer. She knelt in front of Luna. My name is Captain Reeve. You don't have to run anymore. Luna stared at her. Captain Reeve opened a small projector. A hologram appeared. Images of others, alien werewolf beings. Like Luna, some wounded, some alive. Luna's eyes widened. She pointed at one. Reeve nodded. She's alive. That's your sister, isn't it? Luna reached out slowly, touching the light. Jason smiled. You're not alone. Tears formed in her eyes. Reeve said, We can take her to a safe place. She need care, but she live. Jason's smile faded. You're taking her? Reeve looked at him. She be protected. Luna looked at Jason, her eyes filled with sadness and confusion. He touched her hand gently. It's okay. But inside, it hurt that she had become his world, but maybe she needed more than just him now. Reeve stood. There's something else you should know. When she first arrived on Earth, she could have chosen anyone. But she picked you. Jason looked down. Why? She was trained to sense kindness, intelligence, safety. Her people used instinct, and she trusted yours. Jason swallowed hard. Luna slowly sat up. Her body was weak, but her hand held his tight. Then she did something new. She leaned forward and softly touched her forehead to his. A silent goodbye. A promise. Jason closed his eyes. When the ship arrived, they helped Luna onto a stretcher. Jason walked beside her, holding her hand until the last moment. Before the door closed, Luna looked at him one more time. Then she spoke, soft but clear. My home is you. Jason's chest tightened, but he smiled through it. He watched as the ship rose into the sky and vanished into the clouds. Then he stood alone in the snow. The forest quiet again, but he knew, somewhere out there, Luna was healing, and maybe, one day, she would return. Not as a dog, not as a soldier, but as someone who once pretended to be a pet, just to survive. And found something worth living for.